Hey everyone! Today I will do another quick report on my progress with the Whitelist Generator in the middle of its third week of real trading. First I'll show you the complete results of week 39, then we'll talk about the changes made for week 40, and let me tell you, putting the coins together was way more complicated than I originally anticipated. Then I'll show you the results of week 40 so far, and then the full resulting balance across the 3 weeks. So stay tuned for that. Let's take a quick look at week 39. As you can see here, it got even better since the last time I've shown this to you. The RoE for that set of algorithms in isolation is now almost 11%, up from the previous 5. And the P&L is substantially larger, at 6.16 USDT. That is, among other things, because upon publishing the previous video, I increased the order size, as I have planned to do, from 25 to 100 USDT. Hence, in absolute terms, the average profit has increased from 4 or 5 cents per trade to around 20 cents per trade. If I were to isolate the days with lower order sizes, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Here it is around 4 cents, and here the average profit is over 20. The profit-to-loss ratio is the same, at around 7.5, which is pretty good, I would say. I've traded a total of 14 unique coins, almost all of them at the distance of 1.8. The only exception was storage on the sell side, as I have adjusted its distance up to 1.6, because at 0.8 it was performing quite badly. Well, there have been no more trades on there, except the one that I've shown you already last time. Maybe 1.6 is a bit too high, and the coin rarely gets up there these days. It is also interesting to observe the differences between the buy side and the sell side. Although they both were profitable, the buy side was doing much better, with a profit-to-loss ratio of over 9 and an RoE of over 7, while on the sell side I've got a ratio of 6.5 and an RoE of 2.8. Mind you, on both sides, I've had pretty much the same number of orders, while the sell side had somewhat tighter filters for 3-minute coin deltas. I'll leave this as an observation for now and not make any conclusions quite yet. If this trend continues, maybe it would make sense to have a higher order size on the more profitable side. Now let's see what I changed for the following week. Well, you may reasonably ask, why change anything if the algorithms had been performing so great? Well, it's about principle, and it's about sticking with the original idea, which is to regularly adapt to the changing market. By remaining complacent, I might lose focus and drop off the crest of the wave, so I'll go as far as this idea takes me. As I've mentioned, it was a rather difficult job to put the new list of coins together. And the reason is that now I have plenty of data from the whitelisted real trades, but also plenty of data from the emulated trades on the active markets. If I were to just merge the two lists together, there are bound to be duplicate trades which would amplify both the profits and the losses, making the whole analysis a bit muddy. So I had to run 2 generators, one based on the existing real trades and the other based on emulated trades. Then compare the results and merge the lists manually with priority given to real trades. Another difficulty was the fact that for emulation, I now started testing out the distance of 0.9 instead of 0.8. So if the same coin shows up on both distances, I have to make a choice on which one is better to avoid having 2 orders so close to one another. Now, the color-coded lists from week 39 look like this. There are 2 bad coins, 5 sleepers, and then the rest are good. I've decided to further split the good ones into 2 categories. The brighter green ones are where there had been no losses at all, and the lighter green ones are the profitable ones but with 1 or more losses. So I had to check the losses out and see whether any improvements are possible. Without going into too much detail of the process, let's see the results. Here is my selection for week 40. At the distance of 0.8, I have all the best from the previous week that did fit my criteria here, and these criteria remained unchanged from the previous week. At the distance of 0.9%, I have what's been generated by my data collection algorithms. There are a few nodes here on several cells, and this is where the coin showed up both on 0.8 and 0.9. So based on performance that I have included in the nodes, I left these coins at 0.8 and I moved lever to 0.9. Now for the algo changes. There is one major change I introduced. So instead of having a trailing stop, I now have a second stop loss with trailing for all my 0.9 algos. By using specific settings, you can make it much more aggressive in catching up with the price should it move towards the profitable direction. I'll probably have to make a separate video about that, not to go too far off topic today. Anyway, with this second stop, I'm trying to achieve two goals at the same time. Firstly, I want to reduce my average loss, and secondly, I want to force close the positions that are staying open for way too long. So let's see if I succeeded in either of these. Here are the results for week 40 so far, granted that they've been running only for 3 full days. Overall, it's not too bad. With the order size of 100 USDT, I have 3.5 USDT in profits and the respective 3.5% in RoE. The profit to loss ratio is quite a bit worse. It's 4.3 versus 7.5 in the preceding week. However, look at the average loss. Here it is minus 0.5%, whereas before it was almost minus 0.8%. As you can see, the trailing stop is working. Smaller percentage losses seem to compensate for not so stellar profit to loss ratio. Now let's check out the open position time. In week 39 it was 8 seconds with a maximum of over 6 minutes. This week the average appears to be 3 seconds. But let me tell you, it is in fact even better than that. You see, I introduced the second trailing stop only at the end of the first day of trading. So there have been a bunch of longer trades on the older style of stop loss. If we were to deselect this day where the change actually occurred, then we can see that the longest trade is only 3 seconds and the average is 1 second. That is what I'm talking about. Goal achieved. A couple more things. If you were watching quite closely, you may have noticed that in this week's report, I have all of a sudden distances of 1.3 and also 2%. Where are these coming from? Well, these are due to adjustments I made on the fly while looking at the trades in real time, same as I did for storage before. The 1.3 distance is for bake. While trading it at 0.9, I suffered 2 quite nasty losses with not so many profits to redeem these. Having looked at the losses on the graph, I saw that they both followed the same pattern, a shot of about 1.4 with a good rollback. So I quickly decided to increase the distance to 1.3, and boy am I happy I did. Quite soon I got 4 new trades on bake at this higher distance, 3 of which were profits and 1 loss. Overall, so far bake is barely a profitable coin even at that distance, but imagine me staying at 0.9. All 4 of these would have likely been losses. So overall, bake is not doing so well, and I will probably eliminate it next time round, for shorter distances at least. And there's a similar story with a distance of 2%, which is for LQTY. I've had 2 major losses where the shots again followed a pattern, so I moved the distance to 2% and got 1 pretty hefty profit. Again, the coin is in the red overall, but at least I got my 50 cents back. Now let's take a look at the overall results of my whitelist generator. Since I started running it on real trades 18 days ago, it brought me a total of 9.3 USDT, with an astonishing RoE of 15.6%. This number was quite surprising even for me. And lever, well, it finally dug itself out of the hole. And so did storage. Here is a timeline of the whole thing. Week 38 I was losing, week 39 got me back into the green, then I increased the order size, and then switched to week 40 algorithms. As you can see, there have been no losing days for a week straight now. It will not always be the case, but so far so good. And now, drumroll, the moment you've all been waiting for. hopefully. Let's check that balance. I am happy to report that from 189 USDT I am now up to 197.7. So what have we learned today? Aside from yet another confirmation of the benefits of sticking to a seemingly working idea, I want to highlight two things. The first thing can be summarized as this: set a goal, find a tool. I set a goal of reducing each loss as best as I can, plus reducing the average open position time. And both of these have been achieved so far by using a second stop loss with trailing. In general, I am most certainly not the first person to have thought of these ideas and these goals, and therefore it is likely that there is already a tool in place for it, and I am glad to have found it in Moontrader. The second thing is about staying vigilant and flexible within the boundaries of the overall idea. By watching the trading closely, I managed to identify badly performing coins quite quickly, make conclusions, and thus recoup at least some of the losses. For now, it is simply a matter of analyzing these losses and setting a more appropriate and more safe distance. But in the future, I might take an even closer look at such coins and find ways to figure out not only a safe distance, but the optimal distance under the given market conditions. And that is it for today. Things are looking good. I hope you have enjoyed this diary. Stay tuned for the next one.